Google Trends show the term "can't sell house" have reached an all-time high, where sellers outnumber buyers by over 44%, according to the data from Redfin, which was released in January 2026. Now, it says that existing home sales dropped 8.4% that month to 3.9 million units annually, the lowest in over 2 years, while median prices held steady around 397,000 to over 423,000, despite high mortgage rates and a rate lock in keeping owners put. Now, I'm going to share with you 7 reasons why we think that is happening and a solution that can help sellers be able to list their property and have it sold in the market. Now, let's take it step by step. The very first thing we want to understand is what is creating this gap in the market. There are 7 key reasons we think are creating this problem for sellers in the market. The first thing you have to look at is mortgage rate locking. Now, most sellers across the US, a lot of them sellers have bought properties back in the days where some years back where the interest rates were extremely low. They locked in rates at 3, maybe even 4%. But now our interest rate is currently hovering around the 6% median range. So you see many homeowners, they are locked into the fixed mortgage rates, and then they are kind of reluctant, to play around the 6%, 6.5% range, and that's creating that gap. And so the incentive is not there for them to be able to, get into a deal quickly and or excited to see, what will happen in the market. So if they go into a deal or a conversation and the rates are not looking very good, they're likely going to pull out and likely cannot be able to sell their property. The other thing, again, we've seen is buyer demand has collapsed to record lows. And that is happening because just some days ago, the report from Redfin shows that over 40,000 buyers purchase agreements were cancelled, the highest since 2017. And this number represents 16.3% of the entire home deals on the market. In dollar terms, buyers are walking away from deals that's costing them over $4 billion. And so when you see buyers' demand collapse, it's a result of the reality. Buyers are going into deals blindly, but because buyers are more informed, when they go into these deals and they're not sure what they're going to get out, they're likely going to step back and and just say that they're done with that deal. So we've seen that data have shown that the number of home buyers in the US recently hit the lowest level on record as high prices, rates, and economic uncertainty keep buyers on the sidelines. Plus, the reality we've said before, buyers are going into deals blindly, and as such, when they go into a deal, they are very skeptical. If buyers year in, year out are losing close to $4 billion, the natural reaction will be their confidence will drop. They will have that fear factor to repeat the process over and over again. And so buyers need to understand there's a different way of looking at the market, which I will cover at the end of this live video. So you want to understand this. Buyers are sentimental. Buyers are now informed. Buyers are willing to walk away from deals. This is different from the pre-pandemic time where you see it was a seller's market. So at that point in time, you have a lot of buyers all struggling for a single or a few deals in the market. So it created what they call the gap, the appraisal gap. What I mean by that is a lot of buyers are willing to put $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 above asking price, which is above the valuation of the appraised report. That's created the appraisal gap. And so this is not it's not the same thing right now we're experiencing. Buyers are more informed. Buyers know they can walk away. Buyers know the market has shifted. And that's why I said, if you stay tuned to the end, you're going to understand a system, what you can use to put this into your advantage, to give you a serious unfair advantage in the market. So buyers are willing to walk away, not because they are happy to lose funds, but because they know they're also spoiled for choices. Now, the third reason why we think it's difficult to sell your home right now is the prices, guys. It's just logic. Among the key parameters when it comes to buying a home, the key things you want to understand, you want to buy low, sell high. That's the matrix of success across the board. And so high prices and elevated mortgage rates means it threatens your ability to afford the home. Plus, there's a whole lot of things when it comes to homes. You're looking at the insurance, the mortgage rates, the premium, the holding costs. All of these will trickle into your profitability as a home buyer. So homes are still expensive relative to income, while the mortgage rate is still high. So making monthly payments very, very unaffordable for many buyers. And that, of course, reduces offers and slow down sales. And that's what we've seen in the market. And that's why, like I said before, as a buyer, you need to have a tool that put the market in your favor, give you an unfair advantage of only giving you deals that are not just below market price, below replacement cost, with built-in equity. Because if you buy below appraised value, you're already buying with built-in equity, and that's what you want to get into. Now, the fourth reason we think homes are difficult to sell, or why you can't sell your home, is the market has shifted gradually into a buyer's market. So if you go right now to investfusion.co and you click on what is the current, InvestFusion is able to identify the current market cycle. And it has already shown that shift on InvestFusion, that we're entering into a phase that is just going strongly into the buyer's market. So there's a slight shift that favors buyers. And so that created there's more inventory into the market. Buyers can now, they're spoiled for choices. They have a right now to look at the market and decide which of these deals make more sense. And that's why buyers need tools like InvestFusion to filter and weed off all of those crazy deals out there that are landmines. You don't want to go into a deal and buy a landmine. You want to go into a deal and get into a deal that is profitable, built-in equity, cash flow, zero risk, zero red flag. Identify all the potential landmines, foundation, structural damages. You want to identify all of these with InvestFusion before you go into a deal. So a buyer is willing to go into a deal if the deal makes sense, if the numbers make sense. And as such, with the market shifting into a buyer's market, so it's no longer the same. You will not still have the what we call the appraisal gap that you saw the pre-pandemic period, where you see a lot of sellers are just, buyers are struggling with sellers and adding, they are just putting in prices above asking price just to get that deal off the table. So that's in the past. Right now, it's going to be very difficult because we're entering into a situation where it's now a buyer's market play. Now you have oversupply in some regions, and that's what happened in some markets, especially in Atlanta markets. So certain areas have seen a surge in active listings. In certain neighborhoods in Atlanta, we've seen a surge by over 7.1% rise by the listings. Sometimes even this might be one of the highest we've seen in years. So it's forcing sellers to now compete with incentives and price cuts. Even builders are competing with the current inventory in the market that we have. Now, the sixth reason why we think this is happening is pricing and preparation issues at the listing level. Now, what do I mean? Home priced too high, usually with outdated interiors. And so you see a home priced extremely high. There is no revamp, poor staging, weak curb appeal, or subpar marketing. Simply don't attract buyers at this point in time. So, and when you compare to markets that are actually doing well, buyers know that they can get a better deal out somewhere. So, if the pricing is not justified, if you're asking above appraised value, reason is simple. Buyers use InvestFusion to know the previous appraised value. So if they know the valuation and it's overpriced and it has red flags, it doesn't make sense, guys. Come on, what are you doing? Nobody will want to buy your home. They're going to back out of that deal because they use InvestFusion, one, to know the valuation of this property, because InvestFusion is able to let them know the appraised value. Once they know the appraised value of that property, they know what they're going to bid for. They're not going to wait. And so if your asking price is above appraised value, it's already telling them there's no equity. And nobody wants to buy a property that has no equity in it. So that's the seventh reason, guys. Listen, sellers. Sellers have unrealistic expectations. That's my humble take. So some homeowners, they hold out for, let me wait until the boom returns, even when the market conditions have changed, guys. The market in real estate is cyclical. Good enough as a seller, like I said before, by the end, I'm going to show you what you guys can do and use this tool to help you understand how you as a seller can position yourself to know the timing of the market when you should come out to sell. I think a bonus A bonus point here, which would be the 8 points, is timing. A lot of buyers and a lot of sellers don't understand market timing. And it's difficult to time the market because we're all emotional. And that's why we use InvestFusion. InvestFusion is not emotional. It's a tool. It's an AI-powered platform driven by data point. Zero emotions. So it understands the matrix. It understands the data. And it uses that data to interpret market conditions and let you know at what point in time are we in the market cycle. So with InvestFusion, sellers can know when is the right time for, as a seller, to list your property in the market. So if you go on InvestFusion right now, let me just go into the platform right now. And it's the very first thing that screams at you if you go on investfusion.co, it says the US economy is in a recovery phase. That's what InvestFusion defines, the recovery phase. See what it means for your next investment. Now, when you click on Learn More, it's going to take you to the screen where it lets you and define what the recovery phase is. It says the recovery phase marks the transition from a period of economic downturn to stabilization in real estate markets. It is the earliest phase of the market cycle and can often be difficult to identify in real time. That's the reality. During recovery, the market begins to show subtle improvement after a recession characterized by stable rents, declining inventory, and nascent demand growth. So what you're seeing right now, InvestFusion has defined it as a recovery phase. Again, gradually shifting towards this. Now, within InvestFusion, it's going to give you the introduction of what it is, the characteristics of a recovery phase. So among the characteristics here, it says here, excess supply from the previous phase. And that's what you're seeing. So you have supply entering the market, results in large number of unoccupied properties, entering vacancy rates, everything is beginning to show. Now, if you keep on going down to, if you keep on reading this, it's going to say here now, it says here how to use these indicators. Now, it says real estate cycles are often local monitor specific regions or now I want to break down how to calculate when the market is in a recovery phase and how does it favor the seller and the buyer. Because with InvestFusion, you, the seller and the buyer, can define where you are in this phase and what to do at that point in time. So now let's look at this right now. So we see here, it says here consumer sentiment, okay, reduce foreclosures and distress sales. What to monitor, metrics to monitor is foreclosure rates and share of distressed properties transactions. What to look for is declines in distress activity, reflect stabilizing financial health. And then it says how to calculate the market is in the recovery phase. So it gives you all of the breakdown, the economic indicators, unemployment rate, monitor for consistent declines, and then what you need to do. Then the last step here is going to give you how to use these indicators. So basically, as a seller, you want to use InvestFusion to identify, okay, where am I in this circle? Am I in the recovery phase, or am I in the expansion phase? Am I in the recession phase, or am I in the hyper supply phase? You want to know all four phases. Now, for the buyers, let me go to the buyers right now. As a buyer, you want the best. Right now, once the market shifts towards a buyer's market, buyers are spoiled for choice. If a buyer is spoiled for choice, they want the best deal in the market. And that makes sense, yes? How do you find the best deal? It's pretty simple. Use InvestFusion. InvestFusion is not a listing site. It's not your regular MLS. It's designed to protect you at the deal level. And how does it protect you at the deal level? Number one, it finds properties that are 30 or 40% below replacement cost, below asking price, built-in equity, cash flow properties. It gives you that. Number two, it flags all potential red flags on that property. Meaning, if you are looking at a deal that looks good on paper, but that deal has foundation issues, has structural damage, has major big ticket items, roofing issues, foggy windows, mold and mildew under the crawl space, maybe a zoning violation that the state is actually imposing on the seller, but the seller refused to disclose to you in the disclosure document. Don't go blindly into a deal. Let InvestFusion help you find out those kind of impact on that property so that you would know beforehand that what you're buying. If it's a landmine, you can walk away before you pay your non-refundable fees, your due diligence fees, your NS money deposit, your appraisal, your inspection. It's protection at the deal level. That's not all. InvestFusion lets you know the previous appraisal report. Again, one of the biggest things we saw pre-pandemic period was the appraisal gap. Now, that gap is off the window. Throw that into the trash can. Why? Because now buyers know the appraisal report. They want to buy below the appraisal report. They want to buy a property that has built-in equity. And so if they buy a property with built-in equity, it makes sense that the numbers will begin to justify the property and the asking price. So InvestFusion is able to give you the previous appraisal report and the valuation and the date it was valued. That's not all. InvestFusion also lets you know the deal score. So it's going to give you a deal score on a property. And so you understand anything above 50% begins to make sense. If it's below 50%, it's going to let you know the reasons why is that property has a lower deal score rate. What is going to give you a suggestion, what it thinks you can do, areas you can renegotiate with the seller. And so you as a buyer, never before in the history of the United States are buyers now positioned to find great deals in real estate without going into a deal blindly anymore. And so without InvestFusion, that's the old way of investing, and that's why a lot of buyers are getting bought. So for a seller, use InvestFusion to time the market. Know what cycle we are in. Know at that cycle what you will do as a seller and what point it is you need to pull the trigger. For a buyer, find the right gems, find the golden gems, find those rough diamonds that are there in the market, and then you pull the trigger because you have confidence. And for agents who have a team of clients, InvestFusion puts confidence at the heart and minds of your buyers, and they can go ahead to pull that trigger, close that deal, because they know they're not walking into a landmine and there are no red flags to be wary of. Okay, guys, so if you find this exciting, again, don't forget, my name is Jeff Malaba. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Every weekend, we're live on Wednesdays, we're live on Saturdays, where we look at, on Saturday, you even have you have the opportunity to ask me anything in real estate you think you're dealing with and you want some expert opinion, and then I'll walk you through what it is that is going on in the market. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget, share this video with your friends, hit the like button. I will see you on the next time. Bye for now, guys.